Hello, mortals. I am the BookTube Goddess, the #1 drag queen booktuber on YouTube. As some of you may know, I moved to Nevada recently, and as part of the move, I found out I had tons of boxes of books that I didn't realize that I had kept, or that my husband kept. Anyway, I thought it'd be kind of fun to take some of these boxes, open them up, and see what's inside. And what do you know? Here is a box. So let's take out our handy box cutter and take a look. And first up, okay, I think this is a box that some of you may have seen some of these books already if you looked at my old bookshelf tour video. And as you know, I have quite a few role-playing books, and this is one of them, The Magic of Faerun. Discover the power and master the art. This is a Forgotten Realms D&D book. So there's different classes, different spells. Well, I guess it's all spells. And some diagrams. If you're into Dungeons and Dragons, you may appreciate this book. And I have some Dr. Seuss greeting cards. And we have a Doctor Who, a celebration, travel through time. This is some type of compendium of Doctor Who. I believe this was a gift. It goes from the early years and it'll go through the Doctors. So, let's see. This is Doctor 1. The first Doctor is the old geezer. Then we have the second Doctor, who is the clown. Then we have the swashbuckler, who I quite like. But there has never been and never will be a Doctor like Tom Baker. Tom Baker, I think, is the best Doctor Who, and we can fight about it. And then we have the fifth Doctor, who didn't last very long. Sometimes he wore some celery in his lapel that he said provided him oxygen. I wasn't quite sure of that. Oh, and that's it. So this is obviously an old Doctor Who compendium. Next up, we have a series of Dungeons and Dragons books. Legends and Lairs. We have Traps and Treachery and Mythic Races. Oh boy, I think there are a lot of Doctor Who books, but let me pick out this one, The Japanese of the Monterey Peninsula. I have a copy of this because my Aunt Toshiko is written up in here. We have the Book of Vile Darkness. We have the Book of Exalted Deeds. And we have Meow, I Love Cats. Okay, it's a picture book of cats. And again, I think this must have been a gift from someone. This is before the internet, and you can get your overdose of cats now whenever you want, but in the old days we had to rely on books. We have the Monster Manual. Now, this Dungeon Master's Guide, this is the versions of Dungeons and Dragons that I grew up with. So I really do like the AD&D, this edition, written by Gary Gygax himself. We have a comic book, an Alan Moore Prometheus, Book 3 of the Magical Muse series. This is, if you don't know, Alan Moore is really into the occult, and this Promethea is a person who travels up the tree of life, the Ox Keen. We have another one of the original AD&D books. We have the Devil's Player's Guide. Don't show this to evangelicals, they will freak out. And we have one of my old yearbooks. Let's see if we can see a picture of me. And there I am. A freshman in high school. And we have the Book of the Righteous. Okay, this box was a bit of a bust, but I do have 3 actual books in here. We have The Magicians and Mrs. Quint, a novel by Galen Beckett. And I do remember I like this book quite a lot. Let's read about it. In this enchanting debut novel, Galen Beckett weaves a dazzling spell of adventure and suspense. Of the 3 Lockwell sisters, Romantic Lily, Prophetic Rose, and Studious Ivy all agree that it's the eldest, the book-loving Ivy, who has held the family together ever since their father's retreat into his silent vigil. Everyone blames Mr. Lockwell's malady on his magical studies, but Ivy alone still believes both in magic and its power to bring her father back. But there are others in the world who believe in magic as well. Over the years, Ivy has glimpsed them, the strangers in black topcoats and hats who appear at the door, strangers of whom their mother will never speak. Ivy once thought them secret benefactors, but now she's not certain. And yes, it is sort of Jane Austen meets Lord of the Rings. Maybe not Lord of the Rings, but a fantasy novel. And I remember I liked this quite a bit, even though I can't remember many details. Then we have James Butcher's Furies of Calderon, Book 1 of the Codex Alera. Now, Jim Butcher is a well-known fantasy name. I know him mostly from, that Magician Detective series. That's kind of a contemporary fantasy. But he did write normal epic fantasy, and this is a book that I haven't read more of these books in this series. I just read this first book. I think it's just one of those things where I liked it, but there were just a lot of books in the series, and I had moved on to something else at the time. But if you like epic fantasy, you may want to check this one out. And lastly, we have Tad Williams' Shadowplay. And Tad Williams wrote Tailchaser Song, he wrote the Otherland series, he wrote Green Angel Castle series, and he is an excellent writer. He does epic fantasy very well. This has a lot to do with the Fae and the fairies. Is this book 1? No, this is volume 2. So I won't read the blurb, but if you like fantasy, especially epic fantasy, I highly recommend these Shadow March books. Okay, since that previous box was a kind of a bust because all it had was mostly Dungeons and Dragons books, I went ahead and got a smaller box of books to crack open. Okay, I think these are books, more books from my bookshelf, not Dungeons and Dragons books, but we have some Garth Nix, Keys to the Kingdom. This is a portal fantasy that I like quite a lot. We have here's another Garth Nix. Let me know down in the comments what you think about opening up these mystery boxes of books that I've read and mostly forgot about. I also have boxes with comic books. I have a couple crates just with comic books, and it's they're not huge amounts of comic books like some people, but, if you're interested, please let me know. Okay, we have Charles DeLint's Moonheart. Charles DeLint is a well-established fantasy writer, at least he used to be, and reading the blurb, the classic novel of ancient magic and the streets of Canada today. When Sarah and Jamie discovered the seemingly ordinary artifacts, they sensed the pull of a dim and distant place. A world of mists and forests, of ancient magics, mythical beings, ageless bards, and restless evil. Now with their friends and enemies alike, Blue the biker, Kieran the folk musician, the inspector from the RCMP, and the mysterious Tom Hangier are drawn into this enchanted land through the portals of Tamsin House, that sprawling downtown edifice that straddles two worlds. So this is a portal fantasy, and I love portal fantasies. And let's take a look of the first date of publication, because it says it's a classic set in Canada. Okay, it looks like this was originally published in 1984. Then we have a Haruki Murakami book, Dance, Dance, Dance. This is a Japanese writer, and this is, of course, a translation of his novel. In this propulsive novel by the author of yada yada yada, one of the most idiosyncratically brilliant writers at work in any language, fuses science fiction, hard-boiled thriller, and white-hot satire into a new element of the literary periodic table. As he searches for a mysteriously vanished girlfriend, Haruki Murakami's protagonist plunges into a wind tunnel of sexual violence and metaphysical dread in which he collides with callgirls, plays chaperone to a lovely teenage psychic, and receives cryptic instructions from a shabby but oracular sheep man. Dance, Dance, Dance is a tense, poignant, and often hilarious ride through the cultural Cuisinart that is contemporary Japan, a place where everything that is not up for sale is up for grabs. So if you're looking for a trippy book, pick up Haruki Murakami. Oh, and it's my copy of Wicked by Gregory Maguire. Isn't that a fun cover? And this is what the play Wicked is based on. The novel is quite a bit different than the musical version. Now, this is what is usually billed as literary fiction, so you won't see this in the fantasy or science fiction section of bookstores. They usually shelve it into fiction, but it is decidedly fantasy, and it is a wonderful book. Then we have Lloyd Alexander's Chronicles of Prydain, Book 4. Now, the first book, I believe, is The Black Cauldron, and I got it because this is one of the early Newbery Award-winning novels, and I was just curious about some of the early Newberys. This was originally published in 1967, and The Black Cauldron became a not very successful animated movie, by, I believe, people who had left Disney. But again, I don't really recommend this. I don't think it held up very well. The writing style, for me, was a little bit stilted, although it does have an oracular pig, a pig that can see the future, which was my favorite character. Then, stuck in this, for some reason, I have a couple of videotapes. I have a videotape of Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. Oh my god. And then I have DVDs of The Two Tower, the special extended DVD edition. And I don't believe I have a DVD player anymore, so. I know I don't have a VHS player. Okay. Finally, the pièce de résistance, the last book I have in this collection, is Anti-Main, a very old copy. I think this is one of the first editions, copyright 1955. Okay, I have a first edition of Auntie Mame. And I believe I got this at a used bookstore because I love the movie so much, and of course I wanted to read the book, and the book is fascinating. The writing style is very humorous. It's a little dated, especially when they go south, and I'll just leave it at that. But other than that, if you haven't heard of Auntie Mame, it's about a young boy, Patrick Dennis. This is a pen name. The author's name is Patrick Dennis. So it's told allegedly as this is an autobiography. Obviously it's fiction, but it tells a story about when Patrick Dennis was, 10, 11 years old. His father died and he was left an orphan, so he moved in with Auntie Mame, a bohemian, in the 1920s or 1930s. And his wild life with her. So I think that's going to wrap up this What's in My Box episode. Again, let me know if you like this idea, want to see more books and boxes that are currently stuck in my garage, including comic books. Let me know in the comments what you think. Be sure to subscribe to my channel and like this video. And until we meet again, may all the books you read be blessed.